A sword, wielded by heroes slaying monsters of myths and men of the endless battlefield that is to be never end since the time of ancient. Today, I want to bring some piece of information about one particular sword that pop culture claimed is the standard of medieval swords. Longsword. Frankly speaking, I didn't mean to present the whole video with that tone of my voice. I'm not a Vsevolod Kuznetsov sounding person or something. Never mind. The topic is longsword, so we'll go through some truths and myths about this weapon to make clear what is it, where it was used, who wielded it and what for. Oh, and before getting started, I'll ask for aid of internet resources, experts, and of course, a computer game you may be familiar to. There is a game about medieval, so realistic or real. Grab battle loot and man for horses, come on, it's really fun, go and play Mordhau. Oh well, at last. Greetings, knights and peasants. Let me tell you brief about longsword. This weapon of medieval epoch was indeed popular in a particular time among particular people, quite well off and noble people from Europe. First of all, about its history. First seen in the very end of the 12th century, which is late medieval period, and remained in use till the Renaissance. Its mass is an average 1.1 till 1.10 kilograms or 2.44 pounds, so it's not heavy, practically like a thick book or two. The length in total is an average 100-130 centimeters or 39-51 inches, while the blade only is an average 90 till 110 centimeters or 35-43 inches. It was used as close contact weapon and capable of striking a massive blow. The weapon was primarily used for cutting or slicing an opponent and was capable of cutting off the limbs or head over an enemy in one stroke. And now take a look at the picture that I've stolen from Share Diversity channel. Longswords may have different profile, but the one thing to remain the same is the handle with cruciform hilt, and the double-edged blade, of course. The handle is extended, designed to be held with two hands. The length of blade varies. This one bastard sword, being similar to one-handed sword by its size, and it actually fits for grabbing with one hand as well, still is longsword. All you need to make sure is to look at the handle. On the other hand, there were bigger swords that one may consider as great swords due to their huge profile. Now here, this example is great, but this sword isn't that great. Again, it's still longsword, with the same way of wielding, same techniques and stances of swordsmanship, whereas the so-called great swords would be used for breaking pike formation. We may conclude those giant blades to be effective battlefield weapons, but not for self-defense in most cases. Well, it's worth noting that the way of use does not depend on weapon size only, but on the growth of its wielder, too. In addition, sometimes called war swords or battle swords, traditional longswords, we're going back to our topic, were particularly notable for their sharp taper and fine points that allowed them to pierce up or slip through gaps in armor. With the advent of plate armor, swordsmen had less need to carry a shield for protection, instead using their offhand for a technique called half-swording, which gave greater control and thrusting power to the wielder of a medieval longsword. Knights wielding longswords also developed the tactic of repeatedly striking opponents with the pommel, leading to the phrase, "to pommel someone." It shouldn't be forgotten that this technique of the sword grabbing is also called Mordhau. Yeah, the game's actually named after a medieval sword technique that is in presence in this game. It is an efficient way to deal with heavy armored foes. If you don't want to aim for gaps in armor, you can turn your sword into a mace with a one move. Pretty secure move if you know the right way of holding your weapon. Don't believe me? Well, ask the pro then.
You can do that without cutting yourself. But since there are always skeptics, I'm going to prove it to you that it is indeed possible. Here we go. So before I start, just to show you that this is indeed a sharp blade. I mean, anyone who recognizes the sword knows that immediately. It is the Caithness made by Albion, and you can see that this is indeed a sharp blade, and it can cut paper. And to show you my hands, they may look a little rough right now because I've already done some workout prior to this video, but you can see they're not particularly callous, just a little bit. People with demanding physical labor jobs or craftsmen would have a lot more calloused hands than that, so for them it would be even easier. There are mainly two ways of gripping the blade. One is the more secure way, and the other is the more effective way for striking. The secure option is to hold it like this. So what this does, it basically brings the flesh of your hands away from the edge. This may be difficult to show, but if I just exaggerate it a little bit, so I press the blade against my palm and then I wrap my fingers around here. Hopefully you'll be able to see the gap there. Yeah, a little bit. So basically the edge is not really touching my hand much, just a little bit. Same here. So I'm pinching the blade between my fingers and my palm. So this is a very secure way of doing it. And by doing this, I can do the so-called murder stroke without having to worry about cutting myself. And I can do it pretty strongly, like that, no problem, without an issue. You see, no blood, no cuts, no problem.
To sum up, longsword is basically not as simple as it looks. One of the most effective weapons of chivalry, longsword rightly became an iconic symbol of both its epoch and contemporary fantasy. There will always be an adventure, a hero and his longsword. Surprisingly, this is the end. Hope you enjoyed it a bit. Links of the YouTube sources being used in this video are in the description below. They are as great as a great sword that sometimes appears to be a long sword. Whatever. Thank you for watching.